And there we go. Hello, 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 my friends. Thank you for joining me. I'm Nicholas W. Fuller, and this is Person Behind the Pages, the show where we get to know the creators that make the things we love. Today, I am joined by Karim Soliman. How you doing?
Hello, Nicholas. It's good to have you, and hope you are feeling better now.
I am. Yes, we were supposed to talk last week, and I wasn't feeling up to it, so I rescheduled. Thank you for rescheduling with me. I appreciate it. Yeah,
It's all right. Yeah,
I'm excited to talk to you. You're joining me all the way from Egypt. I love that I get to talk with people from all over the world, and I understand that you're going to have a bit of a holiday coming up, huh?
yeah. Tomorrow we'll have tomorrow and like for the next 5 days we'll celebrate Eid al-Adha feast. It's one of the two biggest or the main feasts for the Muslims. Usually we fast tomorrow and we will eat a lot in the next 4 days. So yeah,
Nice.
I'm ready to gain some kilos.
I can definitely get behind a good feasting holiday. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, you can say.
So, um, let me see. Your yes, A Ballad of Vengeance is your most recent release, right?
Yep,
I've
yep.
got that cover right on the thumbnail. Yeah, look at that.
Yes, that's in
Ooh,
the
oh.
flesh, baby.
How giant is that snake? That thing looks enormous there.
I think I made sure that to show the scale right. So I was talking to the cover designer, made them as small. I don't care if they can see them or not. I want the big snake is the big, main feature of the cover.
Yeah, man, pops. Who was your cover designer?
It's Hamad Wakas. I found him on Fiverr,
Nice.
and it was a bit of risk for me because I used to work with before with with Mabel Art and before with the lovely Stephanie So now it came by coincidence, but now for which with each series I have a different
Yeah, cover.
designer.
Yeah.
But so far I'm really lucky with my cover experience because
Mm.
I like my covers for all my previous books and this one. So yeah,
Nice. Yeah. That's good. That's a tough thing to get right sometimes, and you like to find good designers. That's fantastic that that worked out.
yeah.
So I want to, we'll get into that book a little bit. I'm gonna wait a little bit to talk more about it because hopefully we'll get more of an audience as we talk.
Yeah,
Want to get to know you a little bit more. We're definitely going to be talking about that. And of course, I have all my guests do a little bit of a questionnaire before they get on. And you answered a
sure.
while ago, and now
That
you're
was
not sure about some of your, right?
too long ago, man. I can't even remember what my answers.
But perfect. We get to play a little quiz, and you get to see if you remember. It'll be fun.
This is how good, how well Karim knows Karim. So shoot it.
I mean, if Kareem doesn't know Kareem, then like who does? No. So I want to before we get into that a little bit. Also, you have like more than more than 10, more than I think more than 12 books out in the world already. Is that right?
Yeah, full novels. I have 12. Now I'm writing my 13th. If
Nice.
you count I have a couple of short stories in a couple of anthologies. Yeah, I think, but full novels, 12
Man,
so
well
far.
done.
Yeah,
Kudos, kudos. When did you
yeah.
start? Have you always been, kind of like the nerdy kid? Were you always reading when you were young and you like writing stories when you were young, or did it kind of come to you a little bit
Yeah.
later, or what?
According to the urban myth, and you can ask my parents about it, that I used to write like when I was 5 or 6 years old. Of course,
Hmm.
they were not. So my stories were less complicated than that. But I was like, it was like a mirror. What I read, I was trying to write. So
Mm.
of course, I was reading comics. So I started with my own version of comics for everything. And my first original uh, MC was extremely authentic. It was like a combination of Superman and Batman, and what and it has a very silly name. I have tried to remember. It was called Georgian Action. Very, very, very authentic name. And it has a very, very original origin story. No, his planet was destroyed, and you know. Very very original.
Right.
So yeah, I kept like this when at school when we started to study
Mm.
Shakespeare stories. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
they were very simplified for our age. That's when what was my first time to start writing English, because all of that I
Mm.
was writing in Arabic, of course. Yeah,
Okay.
we studied English in school like from kindergarten one or KG one, but
Sure.
I was writing in Arabic. I used to write in Arabic. Once my first time to write in English was when we started to study Shakespeare, and then like came like a 15 years pause.
Mm-hmm.
Work, university,
Sure.
marriage, my daughter Saja. So
Nice.
yeah, and then it came all of a sudden in a moment of boredom.
Mm-hmm.
We had like a curfew, and on the first day of the curfew, that was like 12 years ago.
Wow. Wow. Was that the like Arab Spring? And
Yeah, it was. Yeah, in that time. Yeah, not two
that
two
was
years plus.
12 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, when you remember that,
Yeah.
we have this time gap when when you talk about anything in 2010, you say, yeah, that was like how 5 years ago, and no, it's
Yeah.
15
Right.
15
Right.
years ago.
That's
Yeah,
wild.
I had
But
more
yeah.
hair than this.
Same. Yeah.
So because I used to have like a full day work, and then go to I have my postgraduate studies to finish my masters, and all of a sudden you have to stay at home and you have nothing to
Mm.
do. So without thinking, I opened a Word file and found myself typing a story, to kill my time, and
Because yeah.
that's how it started.
That's crazy. I definitely have heard from a number of authors how very similar, but for them it was the pandemic, right? So the
Yeah.
COVID pandemic and lockdown with that, they like started writing, and like that's kind of me a little bit, but yeah, I mean, so you have a similar experience, but much earlier with like a different cause for it. That's interesting. That's cool. Step back to comics. Were the comics you were reading? I mean, you mentioned kind of Superman and Batman, so I'm assuming those were some of the comics where you were reading. Were you also reading any comics in Arabic? Is that a thing, or were they all
Uh,
kind of English?
with we had some original comics, but many were like translated. Of course,
Yeah.
when
Okay.
because we started like really young, 4 or
Hmm.
5 years old, it was just Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and this Disney
Sure.
stuff, and then became some of Marvel stuff, and it was in Arabic. Of course, you can imagine my shock when I realized the right pronunciation, because when you write the names in Arabic, it was a total disaster. So
That's great.
yeah, so you can imagine that I was pronouncing Spider-Man wrong. You can't get that wrong.
Well, I
So,
mean, I think you'd be surprised what I could get wrong, Kareem. You'd be surprised. That's funny.
so yeah, that's started with the comics, and after that, I started to read like regular novels.
Mhm.
Most of my early readings went before, at times of school and university, was uh, full Arabic, except for the stories and the novels that we studied in the school. I can say that we had a decent dose of English literature at school. We had
Mhm.
novels,
Mhm.
we had plays.
Nice.
It was really cool days. Started like reading. I think my really first full novel to read in English was 1984.
Oh wow. Okay, they just drop you in the deep end, huh?
And yeah, and it was a game changer for me. Until this day, this is what. Although I'm not writing in this genre, but this story is one of the books that changes your mindset. And it
Right.
happened like a few years later, and it was. I'm not saying that because many of in our country discovered 1984 after the Arab Spring, but it happened that I have heard about it before even these days.
Mhm.
And by the way,
Mhm.
at these days, I had no intention to write or do anything. I was just enjoying myself, and
Sure.
I loved
Sure.
it. Yeah,
Right. I mean, well, yeah, all of us kind of before we're ever writers, we're all readers, right? Yeah.
sure, that makes sense.
Yes. Yes. That's cool. Um. So like, and then the first things that you were writing yourself, you said like they were kind of a little bit inspired by Shakespeare? Or was it,
Yeah,
well, you said actually, you said that was the first stuff that you were writing that
in
was
English.
English. So you were
Yeah,
writing some stuff that was Arabic before?
yeah, sure. I was writing in aside of the comics, I wrote like
Nice.
sci-fi series,
Okay.
and I had a plan like for 100 issues, but
Oh, okay. Like
I wrote
starting out
like eight.
ambitious. I like it. I like it.
It was too ambitious, but I wrote like eight, and then I quit.
Fair, fair. Yeah.
Yeah, because at that time the pocket. I don't know if there was something similar outside Egypt, but in the Middle East it was really popular. Those pocket serials. It was
Mhm.
released every month, and we had a really popular sci-fi series. It was called the Malaf al-Mustabal, or in English, The Files of the Future. It was fantastic for us, and because it was Egyptianized, so we could relate to it. So I really loved it, and it was one of the things that inspired me to write. It's by the late Nabil Farouk. I really believe that he deserved his work is they deserve to be translated and to be known by the whole world. Fantastic.
That's cool. So what like you just said it was Egyptianized. What about it like kind of made it easy for you to relate to it that you weren't seeing in something like, well, I know what he relates to Mickey Mouse, but still that you weren't seeing in like those earlier stories, you know?
Yeah, because because most of the stories that even the movies that we watch, it's we loved most of the Hollywood and sci-fi movies, but to find
Sure.
something with Egyptian characters in an Egyptian setting,
Okay.
and it was like imagining Egypt in the future in like a more advanced state, and there's like this special team to solve some cases. It was like a mix of mystery and sci-fi, and there is history as well, because sometimes they do some time travel and solve mysteries in the past. Even
Cool.
there were issues like paranormal,
Okay,
where
okay.
they face the son of the devil. So it was very rich and very versatile. So we loved it, and it was because it was inspired by your culture. So we,
Mhm.
as an Egyptian and as Arabs in general, we could relate to it really well.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. It's so interesting to me. Like I am an American and I've always lived in America, and I know that like we have this crazy cultural influence, but I find it very fascinating to, hear from folks like you that are not American, but you have so much American influence and you enjoy some of it, but then kind of the other like media that you consume and what it's like and how it's different. I find that super interesting, you know?
Yeah, let's face it, the American influence in the media, that's
Yeah.
something that you cannot
Right.
hide from. It's
Right.
undeniable, and I always, most of my influences, right now is by American authors and American movies and TVs, because they are not popular only in Egypt. They are popular all over the world. But
Right.
in
Right.
every piece of the world, I think this is not only in Egypt. It's if you in Asia, you will have the Asian influence have really
Mhm.
interest mythos. Of course, being an Egyptian, we have so many to borrow from. It's
Right.
either from ancient Egyptian, from Islamic, from Coptic.
Okay.
It's a whole mix. So add to
Okay.
that with American influence, I think
Yeah.
it's a really chaotic mixture. Hopefully it works in the end, but
No, that's cool. I love what you were saying too about the cereals and how like it draws from all sorts of things and that it made it kind of more interesting for you. Like, yeah, I would love to one day write some works that can. Is that have you read the Dungeon Crawler Carl series? Are you familiar with it?
I've always, my newsfeed is flooded with the
Flood,
poll,
yeah, yes,
and I don't remember who asked me. This it's insane, but you should read it because
yes, yeah, that's right.
you even can tell from the cover.
Yeah,
You can tell it's really chaotic, it's really messy, but
yes,
everyone is crazy about it. So
right.
I'm really curious.
Yeah, no, it has become my obsession in the last like year or so since I started reading it. But
Yeah.
like one of the things that the author does that is just so genius is the way he's built the world. He can really do anything and he can make it work, And
Yes.
it's like I'm jealous of that. You know what I mean?
Nice,
Because he's able to
nice,
pull so much different stuff. And anyway,
really
yeah.
nice.
Well, that's really interesting. Okay. So to tell me, I got to hear more about though your Shakespeare work. What were your Shakespeare works like? Were you writing your own version of Romeo and Juliet, sir?
No, 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 no. No, I'm not into the cozy type, but not in
No,
the
you're
cozy.
fair. I mean,
There's,
I get cozy, but like
I
of
get
course
the
they're also
bloody
like
type.
killing
What I
themselves.
borrowed from Shakespeare was the bloody type, the conspiracies, a mix of Macbeth and
Mhm.
Othello, the dark part of Othello, of course,
Cool.
and King of Denmark. What was his called?
Oh, I don't
His
remember.
name escaped my mind right now.
I should
That's what
know, but
happens when you pass the 40s. It's really very, very well known novel. So yeah, that's what I was influenced by Shakespeare. I I sometimes add romance. That's what I did in my first series. I added romance as a part of
interesting.
the plot, but it's
Yeah.
not the main. I can never. It's not even accurate to market my first series as a romantasy or fantasy, because no, there's a lot of blood. There is a lot of too much politics and war, and there is of course romance, and that romance might play part in add some twists, because especially when the sides of this romance, a king from one kingdom and someone from another, and this complicates things with the diplomacy and whatsoever. So yeah, but not Romeo and Juliet, no sir.
No, no. Fair. Yeah, me either. Okay, cool. So, and um, when you got to writing, kind of when you were having the curfew and you started like writing. Well, first of all, what made you? Because at that time, it sounds like you were just writing totally for fun. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but you started writing in English then.
Yeah,
Is English like your everyday language, or is Arabic your?
I know it's complicated a little bit, but here's the thing: in Egypt,
Yeah,
in our day to day dealings, of course, we speak in Arabic, and not
sure.
even the Arabic that you might have heard. It's the Egyptian version. The Egyptian version is different from the classic Arabic. But
I get that.
in our communication, business communication, written communication, it's totally in English. In email, we can talk at office in Arabic, but when I
Yeah,
write you an email, it's in full English.
interesting.
So
Okay.
that's why somehow, relatively, my written English is, I would say, it's better than my spoken. It's my spoken that is totally worse than my written, because I don't practice it a lot.
Sure.
And so why I wrote this story in the curfew in English, because at that time I remember I was playing Mountain Blade. I don't know if you heard about it, but
Yes, 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 yes,
you
yes.
know it.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, because not so many heard about it. I was totally addicted to it, but part of me was saying, there is not enough story for this word. It has no background. It has nothing. So I
Hmm.
was just. It started like this. I opened the laptop, and instead of playing Mountain Blade, it was like, what about we write a story about a
Nice.
character in a world like a Mountain Blade, and then it became totally something else.
Yeah.
It's the pantsing and plotting debate. It
Yeah.
totally started and total pantsing. I was just writing and having no clue what I was doing. But
Right.
then, because my wife told me when she discovered my secret hobby, and I was ready to be embarrassed, but
Uh-huh.
she was not totally fine. She really encouraged that, and she told me that
Nice.
she was reading on a website called Wattpad. It wasn't known at that time,
Okay. Yeah.
and the people post their free. At that time, Wattpad was still beginning, and it was in its peak in terms, because now
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but Wattpad now is totally different. It's focusing mainly on teenagers and romance, but before, fantasy was a strong genre there, and it has a strong presence there, and you will be surprised by the names that started on Wattpad, and now Andrea Stewart, for instance, I knew her from Wattpad back in the day.
Oh wow,
So
I didn't know that.
yeah, you
Nice.
can imagine the names and the quality of the work
Yeah.
there. So I started posting this nonsense that I wrote on Wattpad, and it worked like magic because there were because they had algorithm like Amazon, and you can see like YouTube the number of reads, not views, on it, and the votes, and I was getting like reviews and
Yeah.
votes and comments, and I became addicted to this because I wrote like only 4 or 5 chapters, but the people started we are getting comments like we're waiting for the next chapter. So it became
Yeah.
like it became like a commitment.
Yeah.
So I became all right. I had no clue what I was doing when I started. So I need a moment. Let's sit back there. We had to plan for this because actually this is becoming something. So I kept writing until like it stayed for long, like in the top 10
Wow.
on the charts of the fantasy. Yeah.
Nice.
So at the same time, I was writing a fantasy, and it was number one in the sci-fi, and that was, what started everything because of that story. I was approached by Wattpad to be involved in a promotional project in cooperation with Sony Pictures for a movie, The Fifth Wave. If I think you remember it, it was like in 2014 or 15, and for the first time, I have been at that time. I was like writing for 2 years for fun or 3 years for fun, and suddenly you find Sony Pictures or Wattpad asking, want to pay you
Yeah.
for a
Right.
short story that you write. So, oh, this is becoming serious.
Yeah. Right.
So, and after that, that was one of the very crucial moments in my, let's say, writing journey. Because after that, that's when I started to, take it more seriously. Because all of these past years, I was just, enjoying the comments and enjoying this, messages with me and the readers. But to post myself out on Amazon and be ready to be judged by the real reading community.
Hmm.
Oh, that it took more. Yeah, the check that I took from Sony was did the job. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. That's awesome. Wow. That's really cool. I've definitely heard of Wattpad. And yeah, Wattpad's been around. Have you heard of another serialized website called Royal Road?
Yeah, Royal Road, and there are so many websites but I think Royal Road is the one of the, in terms of fantasy, it's one
Yeah.
of the solid platforms right now. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Specifically like lit RPGs and yeah,
Yeah.
do very well there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, my friend Steven Klopfenstein is. I'm sorry, Steven, if I'm pronouncing your second name wrong, but Steven is a good friend of mine. He was on Wattpad. I knew him from Wattpad, and he
Oh
continued
wow.
on Reroad. He's doing a really awesome job. Yeah.
That's cool. So how? I mean, obviously, I mean that was a good way to get started. Do you still do any serialization, or like no more?
To be honest, until the last few years, I was like posting my drafts on Wattpad there, so to get the reaction and some feedback.
Yeah. Sure.
But now I'm putting all my focus on putting my word to publishing. I had a look on Royal Road, but at that time I heard about Royal Road when I was already became published.
Hmm.
So I thought maybe I need to focus on one thing, and there is no
Sure.
need to add more pressure to deliver, a chapter every week. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I kind of someone encouraged me to check out like Royal Road, and I have, and I'm going to go down that path. But I've got before I did like before I post anything, I haven't posted anything yet. But I've been working on just building like a big bank of chapters so that like I can. If I get sick a week, which when does that happen? I can delay or have something else from the bank to go post because yeah, that demand of all the time is that feels a little bit daunting. But But no, that's interesting. It's sort of like I was so yeah. When you posting on Wattpad, did you think about the fact that you said what pocket serials were popular for a while? It's almost like you brought it back to that, right?
Yeah, it's somehow, it was a blast from the past, the
Right.
serialized thing. And somehow it impacted my writing, because when you write something on a weekly basis and you have readers, it's like an episode, you watch an episode
Hmm.
on
Hmm.
TV. So it kind of, you had to end each chapter on an ending that makes your readers
You want to read
wait for
more?
more.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, to write like 50 chapters like this, uh, it could be challenging to have I not say twist for every chapter, but something to make them be thirsty for more.
Right.
But when I started, even those chapters that I wrote on Wattpad, when I tried to convert them into publishable form, you didn't see. I couldn't see the need to keep the chapters punchy like this,
Mm.
and that's why I think now I just realized it when I talked to you, that my early works, especially Tales of Gurania, especially the first book, The Warrior's Path, it has like if we take like an average word count for the chapters, I
Mm.
guess it will be the shortest.
Okay.
It
Okay.
was like really Wattpad style, punch,
Mhm.
punch, 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 punch. But
Yes. Yes.
with, for instance, with War of the Last Day, Army of the Curse, and Tattered Banners, and Reign of Demons,
Yeah.
I was taking my time with each chapter, and my pace has changed a little bit.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
but
I know.
I also blame George Martin for this, because at the time I was starting to read Game of Thrones, so I was trying.
George. No.
Yeah, I was trying to reach like a midpoint between his chapters and the Wattpad chapters. So
Yeah.
I'll try to reach like a sweet spot.
Fair. Fair. Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing. Yeah. Like as I've researched posting on Royal Road, one of the things is they do encourage like the sort of perceived optimal chapter length is around like 2,000 words, and the reason why is because like on Royal Road, you can't really bookmark in the middle of a chapter. So if you're going to read a chapter, you really kind of want to be able to read the whole thing. I'm assuming it was the same with Wattpad.
I think on Wattpad, yeah, there was sweet spot, what like 1,500
Okay.
and
Okay.
2,000, even more, because you want to strike a balance between, you want you want to make the readers wait worthwhile, because I don't want to be waiting for a whole week to just read like a 700 words that I can finish in 2 minutes.
Sure.
But at the same time, keeping it for too long,
Yeah.
you want to to hit the 10 minutes reading spot. So yeah, 2000, I think it was really nice. It's a really nice spot.
Nice. Cool. So did those things that you were writing early on, it sound and posting on Wattpad, it sounds like that became the Tales of Garania series, right?
Yeah, but the original version has nothing to do. It's totally different, especially the Warrior's Path. The Warrior's Path,
Mhm.
I didn't edit it. I rewrote. I burned the whole thing and rewrote it. Yeah, you have no idea. It's the most book that I have written and rewritten like 3 or 4 times. Every
Yeah.
time I stick to the main theme or the main
Sure.
story, but no, this can't work, because when you start to want to up your game and you read what real novels look like, no man, this is not gonna work. Even the opening chapter, I totally change it.
Wow.
How the story starts.
Yeah.
So yeah, the version that we have right now has nothing to do with the with the original version. Yeah.
So if you read it on Wattpad, give it another chance, That's I hear you. Like so when's the most recent revision of that work that you did?
I did it like I think 2 years ago. You know, there's a thing. I think you might have heard this piece of advice. Don't check your old works. Focus on your new products. And I know what I'm not have nothing against this, because I think for a time, if for efficiency, from efficiency point of view, yeah, it's the time that you spend on a new stuff will have better value. But I can't help it.
Sure.
My obsession, especially the Warriors Path, because it's my debut and it's my starting point. Because despite all my efforts to make Army of the Cursed, because which is it was a SPFBO semi-finalist, to make it as my I have it right here. This one, this this
Right,
my
right.
my
Yeah.
favorite child.
Your
You know,
favorite child.
yeah,
You're right.
the pride of Karim Soliman.
I like it.
Um,
I like it.
I did everything to make it as my new starting point, but no matter what I do, the Warriors Path is the one that is getting the more reads on Amazon and sales. So I had to make my starting point look better. And the more the more that you write, you realize how bad you were in the past.
Yeah. Right.
So sometimes I get the moment. I don't know how this happens, but you remember a scene in a very random moment. You are focusing on, you are writing your 13th book or something, and all of a sudden you remember, wait a minute, that scene that I wrote like 12 years ago, and I bring the book and say, no, 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 it can be like this. And but to be honest, the recent changes were not that major, like
Okay.
one scene or two that, or a
Yeah.
dialogue that I tweaked a little. But there are no major changes in the recent years. But in the version that was published on Amazon, it has not. There were POVs that I deleted. You
Oh
know,
wow. Yeah.
it was a totally different animal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe one day I release it like a special edition.
Yeah. Yeah. Like what is it? Like Sanderson does that, and I can't like I'm what does he call him? I can't. Joe, if you
One
know in
day
the chat, tell me.
when
Tell me the
one day
name.
when I become as famous as,
Like
or half
Sanderson. Yeah.
half
Yeah.
half famous as Sanderson,
Yeah. Yeah.
that old thing will sell like hell. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
oh yeah, let's read this
I'll
stupid stuff by Kareem. It's hilarious. How
I'll
bad
take
is this, man?
I'll take a quarter as famous as Sanderson. That would be fine. Yeah. Yeah. I like to tell myself though that like looking at the old stuff and thinking it's bad is I try to make myself feel better. Be like, oh look, I've gotten better. This is progress. But yeah, like I can look at old stuff that I've written and be like, oof. And it doesn't even have to be that old. Some stuff. There's been times where I've read something from like a year ago and I was like, you know, but we get
And
better.
that's why I can relate now to the that advice that tells you that don't publish. There are some some of all works, don't publish your first work. And I don't remember, who said that, but someone said that you have to write like after you write like a million words or something, you are ready to write something publishable. So but million
Mm,
words is too much.
a
I
million words is
can
a lot. Although
yeah,
like yeah, go ahead.
I guess I have written like over a million words now, so I guess I'm ready. I might be ready. I'm not sure.
Yep. Yeah, that's funny. I just heard. Sorry, I was distracted for a second. I heard car, and I'm also trying to look up the darn name for the books that I'm thinking, the old ones by Sanderson. Ugh, it's gonna bother me. And Joe in the chat doesn't know. Oh well, I guess it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Um, cool. So, man, like, yeah, 12 books. You were just saying, like, oh, you're writing your 13th book, and like, and you think about this other scene. I'm like, can't relate, bud. Can't relate. 13 books? Like, well done. Oh, man. Joe says the first million words are practice. Like, whew, whew, I don't know, bud.
I think it was Joe who said this quote. So yeah.
There, yeah, yeah. Well, there we go. There we go. Um, so okay, we talked about reading comics back in the day. We talked about the curfew kind of getting you to start writing for fun. You posted on Wattpad. What was your experience like in SPFBO? Because you're a SPFBO7 finalist. You were showing that cover just a little bit ago. Tell me what that was like for you.
You know what? SPFBO in general, before even because before SPFBO, I had zero presence on social media. I had zero acquaintances with the fantasy, almost zero,
Sure.
except for the few guys that I knew from the days of
From
Wattpad.
Wattpad, sure.
But I was totally on my own. It was a very lonely hobby, or a lonely activity, my
Yes.
writing. SPFBO, it was, more than a competition. It was like it was a community. The Facebook group, the Discord, and on Twitter, I met a lot of awesome people because of, SPFBO bloggers, reviewers, writers, readers. It was a whole new world, and I definitely the badge gave me some attention. At least some people became curious, to see what is this guy doing. I'm not claiming that it changed my whole career, because Tales of Granny was already doing well on its own, but I'm talking about another aspect that I didn't have before, the community, and
Yes.
it is really nice to know that you're not the only one with voices in your head. That there are so many. There are more many. There are more than you think. So and of course the moment of becoming, the getting the news of becoming a semi-finalist, it was
Right.
I was like, really?
Yeah.
I remember the day that I heard the news. It was totally random, because at that time we were with the FanFi Addict, and they were, unlike the most of the other groups, they weren't like post or like every story, whether it's stay or acts. They wait like a few days, and then all of a sudden you had like a lineup for an execution, X, and one story remains. So I remember one day at work, and I saw I was holding my phone like this, and one of my colleagues, he was worried that something bad happened. So I was like checking, scrolling down, and okay, my cover is not there, so I'm safe. So
Yeah.
you wait another batch of executions, and then. And the only time and there was like the obsession with the refresh button every 5 minutes
Of course.
to see if anything new. And with the only moment that I wasn't checking, I don't remember what I was talking to GC Kang. I was telling him about something else, and he was like, "By the way, congratulations!" And congratulations for what? And then I realized, it was really awesome. Yeah, it was really awesome moments, and. Regardless of the competition, regardless who won, who qualified, I still, especially from the 7th version that we were 2000 and I was about to say 2011, 2021.
Little different,
yeah. For 14 days, 14 years, it's not big deal, So, still in touch with them. It's I really like, when I wasn't loving this community. I'm really looking forward for the next one. Regardless. After that, you are less, because in the next I took part in the two more times.
Mm-hmm.
I was less nervous about the results. It's about enjoying your time and knowing new people, and if something good happens, okay, that's it. If you're axed, it happens. So
yeah, that's cool. Who, I should look this up, but who was the winner in SPFBO7? Do you remember? Do you know? You probably know.
7, it was I remember the cover, but the name escaped my mind right now, because oh my god, the Alzheimer is really bad. It's something and something Rune, and no, it was a white cover with 2 faces on it, and
dang it, I'm gonna look it up. Now I want to know.
My memory is really.
Come on, what are we doing here, computer? All right, SPFBO7.
It's really embarrassing.
No, it's not. I don't know either. GD, Rain and Ruin.
I was close, because I remember that at that time Legacy of the Bratwood was really really close.
Yeah.
But it was decided by the final moment.
Have you seen that they're doing this SPFBO like Tournament of Champions now, because it's been 10 years?
Yeah, I heard about it, but I'm still, you know, not sure how this works. If the same judges or they're bringing
I don't.
new
I think
ones.
it's new. I think there's some new judges. I don't
Uh-huh.
know. Like it's. I talked with my friend Adrian M. Gibson. He was a finalist, I think. But he wasn't the winner, but he was one of the extra. Like anyway, he went very far in the most recent. But he's like, oh, I'm glad I didn't win, only because I don't want the stress of this tournament of champions. I don't want to have to go from like the
Uh-huh.
SPFBO that just happened to go to the tournament. That was pretty funny, but
Uh-huh.
it seems like I mean I love that they're doing it, and like you said, like the way it's bringing community together is so good. I was writing myself like in the I guess like the late aughts, like 2007, and trying to put a book together that and I should have taken that advice to not publish the first book, because that book I wrote, and it really was for me, not really for like other people, but I did put it out there for a little bit, but now it's a
It's
trunk book where it should be,
it's
but
hard to resist. It's
yeah, I know,
impulse.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
but
can't resist that.
but at that time it was such an isolating experience for me, and now like getting to do this and meet people with you and like this, yeah, much
So when you are
better.
planning to publish it,
Well, that one's gonna stay in the trunk. That one's gonna stay in the trunk. But new
uh-huh.
work, yeah, actually, I'm gonna do a cover reveal for something on July 10th.
Nice,
Uh,
nice,
we're coming.
nice.
It's coming up. Yep, yep.
Yeah, yeah. Congrats, congrats.
Thank you, thank you. Excited for
And you're
that.
planning for the release in the same year, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep, yes, very soon after. Very very soon after.
So can Nicholas? We are going to switch roles here. Can Nicholas give us like a glimpse of what his upcoming novel is about,
Yes,
without
sir.
spoiler? Just a little teaser.
Yeah, yeah. Little teaser, little taste. Yeah, yeah. Hang on. Let me get like I got a little like note, and I'd rather read it than butcher it. I was pitching a friend to read it early. And of course he's like, "Well, what's it about?" And I said, "Okay. It's called Shattered, a Sanguine Stars novella." And it's
Okay.
a prelude novella, the first in like a planned trilogy. Excuse me. Um It's the story of doing the right thing and the consequences of those actions. It's the story of Poe Tarj, a master sergeant in the Sorrento Royal Senate Guardians, and his struggle to keep his ward and his planet safe. Um, it's a science fantasy. It's got lots of fun actions. There's a little bit of
Nice,
political intrigue, and I try to like sprinkle in a dash of humor as well.
nice, nice. Sound
Yeah,
very nice.
it's been fun to write, and I'm really excited to actually get it out there and have some folks be able to read.
Yeah, yeah, it's really nice. I wish you all the best of luck, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Uh,
Yeah.
be one of us.
One of us. Yes. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So Kareem, uh, it's time for our game. How well do you know yourself?
Oh man. I think you have seen how bad my memory is. So uh,
So of course in my questionnaire, like I asked them different questions for all of my guests to help me kind of prepare and what's that sort of thing. I'll give you I think an easy one, like any of your favorite video games that you told me.
yeah, of God of War and Witcher.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, man, this can I can mess this up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. In part because you said that one of your, I think the most recent book is kind of like God of War, right?
Yeah, it's like the Egyptian version of God of War. It's like Kratos, but he's Egyptian, and he's a grandfather,
Yeah.
and it's set in the north. Has a north setting,
Hmm.
and I might in the sequel. Here I'm saying it. Put some Greek mythology in the mix.
Oh,
So why only
nice.
Egyptian and Norse? Let's put Greek and make the chaos even more. So the hell with it.
Chaos. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, and yeah, and another main difference: his wife is alive.
Right, right.
His wife is alive, and she is a really badass sorceress. So you don't
Okay.
want to mess with her.
That's rad. Do they fight together at some points?
Yeah, they fight together with their kids. They have his daughter is like a shield maiden, and
Okay.
his son is like a warg. He can warg into animals and living creatures.
Nice.
So it's a nice mix, and they are fighting titans with like godlike powers and stuff.
Nice.
So they have really tough times to face and tough opponents to face. So yeah,
All right. Like, you've got my attention. This is all a ballad of vengeance.
Yeah, yeah. This is a
Okay.
battle of vengeance. It's totally different from anything I've written before. So
Yeah.
most
Like
of
how?
my work.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No. Please. I was going to ask
Because
you more.
Tales of
So.
Tales of Gorania and War of the Last Day, they were like more like the Last Kingdom and Game of Thrones, this kind of stuff. Tales of Gorania is more like the Last Kingdom with the political intrigue, but minus the magic. Not totally minus the magic. The magic is like very minor there, but in War of the Last Day, magic is there. It's a very big element in the story. There are demons. There are demons in physical form that they face, and there are fights between mages and fights between men and mages. So, but in the medieval setting, and there are politics, and it's like the second half of the Game of Thrones when the White Walkers come in. They are facing. And I skipped, the intros, and let's start with the end of the day. Okay, I don't have time to write 8 books. Let's start with the final showdown and get done with it. So
There we go. There we go.
yeah, but and so many characters, because I get so easily bored. You can tell by now. In a Ballad of Vengeance was a total change of pace, because
Yeah.
I have only 2 main characters, which is something for me. It was a struggle, to stick to only 2 POVs, and to keep the stakes a little bit lower than War of the Last. It's not the end of the world. It's just a family that wants to stick together and are seeking revenge. So it's kind of personal for them. So and the mythology thing is, I've never inserted something like that with the mythological presence. And it was a good opportunity to showcase some of our Egyptian mythology, because I'm a big fan of Norse mythology, and the story originally was based on Norse setting, but at the last minute I was like, what if what if we inserted an Egyptian character in the Norse setting? So I've started to think, how do you insert an Egyptian man in a Norse setting? So I had to create a story that brings this man into the Norse setting, and how he cross paths with the Norse Titans, and he already has a bloody past with the Egyptian Titans, and things become really tangled in the middle. So
that's cool.
The story of the story.
I love it. And, okay, so and Ballad of Vengeance is the first in a new series, or okay,
probably it will become a duology from my expectations.
Okay.
I remember that Kay asked me before, do you decide before the number of books in the series? And my answer is like, I really had no clue. I finish when I see that the story has to finish there. For instance, Tales of Gorania was planned to be a trilogy, but I couldn't finish everything in the 3rd book, so I had to add another 4th book. With the Ballad of Vengeance, when I wrote the synopsis for the whole series, I guess maybe, unless my characters decide to do something stupid or something, or correct my stupid plot, So my plan is duology, but I can never know. You can say, sometimes they tell me, hey, you have no clue what's going on. Let us fix this. So
that's rad. What's the word count on a Ballad of Vengeance?
Ballad of Vengeance is 95,000 words. It's like my 2nd shortest book.
I like that. I think a little bit of a shorter book can be nice. Like, it's a nice entry point that way, right? You don't feel like I like Brandon Sanderson. I've read Mistborn only, and I'm kind of intimidated to read more. It's like, I feel like if you jump in, you're jumping into all of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you remind me of Mark Lawrence. Mark Lawrence debut was, I think it was one of the shortest fantasy books that I've read. It's like 80 or 85,000 words, something like that. And I really wish there was more. So it made me want more.
That's a good place to be, though, right? I'd rather leave readers wanting more, especially with a first book in a series, than leave them going Jesus, how people feel about the Middle of the Wheel of Time series, and everyone's like, even the people that like it say the middle's a slog. That's what you don't want, right?
But to be honest, Nicholas, I wouldn't claim that anything of of the war count thing was intentional. I didn't plan to make the Warriors path like 100 because I felt that it should finish there.
Yeah.
It's good to end at this point. Army of the Curse, for instance, was like 116,000 words, and I don't think it should have been longer or shorter because, again, that was the natural ending point. A Ballad of Vengeance, I was expecting to be like 100,000, but I felt that I felt that it finished there. So there's
Yeah.
no need, to keep it going forever.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's okay. All right. So I'm getting hyped about Ballad of Vengeance now. So we it's the first book in a planned duology. It's not too long. This is good, but I like the fact that like I love too that you said it's like kind of a story about family, right? And it's kind of the
yeah.
main character and his wife and his daughter. Is it just the three of them, or is there more?
They are they they are they,
Right. You said the son. That's a ward, right?
yeah, there are four main
Yeah.
characters.
Yes.
Actually, there is a fifth when you're discovering the first
Okay.
chapter. That is yeah,
Okay. For first chapter. Okay. Okay. Okay.
the first chapter is not a big thing,
Yes.
but
Yes.
the main are four, and yeah, they are the main character is in his early 50s, and the wife is in her late 40s.
Uh-huh.
And it was for me, it was a new experience because to write about they are the oldest MCs that I had.
Yeah.
Because in War of the Last Day, they were on the younger side. In Tales of Gorania, they were in like in mid or early 30s.
Mhm.
This one is really old. I think old people need, representation, man.
Right. No, I agree, and like I love the fact too that you've got a family. I
Yeah,
genuinely feel like especially romance, is all about just like the meetup, right?
yeah,
And there's
yeah.
there's not like enough
What happens
stories in.
after? Yeah,
Well, it's not even so much what happens after, but like I genuinely feel like there's not enough stories in our media broadly that talk about like long-term like relationships,
yeah,
because it's
yeah,
all just about like kind of romanticizing and fixating on like the dating life and the meetup and like how wonderful. And that, don't get me wrong, I mean that part of it is wonderful and nice, but if you think about a lifespan of a long happy marriage and happy life with two people together, that's a
Mhm.
brief period of like of the whole thing. So how do we make the rest of it interesting? I think that's an interesting thing to grapple with as a storyteller, and you've done at least a little bit about that. I mean, I guess there's like a big piece of vengeance along the way, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I hope the readers like what I've captured from what you said about about life is not just about the meetup. It's
Yeah.
about how this couple continues together despite their differences, despite and their struggle with their children, and because their children are growing up now, especially the eldest, she's now a lady and she has a mother herself.
Mm.
And this there are these normal moments. I know Ballad of Vengeance, I guess it's one of my most violent stories. It has, for 95,000 words, there's a lot of action and fight scenes, but there
Nice.
are also like some normal moments when they are sitting together. And I was really happy when some readers appreciate and acknowledge and highlight these moments, because I wouldn't say that it was intentional that I am inspiring this from my current life, but I said many times before, writing is like you. Not all of the times. I'm speaking for myself. I never sat on a keyboard and I said I'm planning to write about this. It wasn't intentional to be about the family in the first place. It came like this. The story came like this. I was thinking, Battle of Vengeance in particular, it was based on Frozen Hell. And if you remember, Frozen Hell was a short story in the Advent of Winter,
Mm.
the anthology. So I was just thinking of a story in a wintry setting, and one thing led to another, and I realized afterwards it's about a family that are trying to stick together, and more or less, it's kind of something that I'm trying to do in real life. So without going into details, so yeah, I think one thing, something in what you are passing through bleeds into your writing without your even knowing it. In
Yes.
Tales of Gorania, because at that time there was this there is some division amongst the people that it was about a stranger. Now I'm just reflecting on that. The main character is a stranger out of town and is trying to fit in, because maybe somehow at that point that was I was feeling at that point,
Mm,
because I I see like polarization on two
mm.
sides, and I can't find myself on either side. So maybe I'm saying maybe.
I love it. I love it. I hope that your kind of personal struggle to keep your family together has less bloodshed than the one in the book.
A little bit less.
Okay, good, good, good.
But there are moments that are really, and I really got comments from that, especially from the moments when Akin, the main characters, is waking up and trying not to wake his wife, because
Mm.
she gets in a really bad mood when she doesn't sleep enough. And I got so many comments about that, because this is like based on a real events, and any similarity between real characters is just a coincidence, just a fictional work of fiction, you know.
I am gonna plead the fifth on that one, my friend.
You have the right to remain
Yeah,
silent,
yeah, I will. I will. Yeah.
because my daughter like screenshot that and show it to there, and
Oh
I got
no.
that look. You are right. You are writing about me.
You're like, they say right what you know. That's awesome. All right. Well, sounds like a fun read, man. Like, and obviously, can you show off the cover again, please, sir?
Yeah,
We gotta
sure.
see that beautiful cover.
That's the the mighty Apophis is there,
Mm-hmm.
because so many people were confused because of the Norse background, that it's the word serpent. But I love the Norse mythology, but they are not the only people who have big serpents in in there. So yeah,
Would it be like too much of a spoiler to talk a bit about like what they're trying to get vengeance for?
yeah. As I said, it's because in the first chapter it is revealed. It's
Okay, okay.
the thing is that this Akin is he has like a bloody past, and
Mm-hmm.
he the reason that he's in the Northlands, he's trying to stay away from all his past and the Titans he was involved with, because he
Mm-hmm.
used to do their dirty work, and
Mm-hmm.
he's trying to settle in and have a normal family. But it's hard to be normal when you are not normal, and your wife is not, and nothing of your family is normal.
Mm-hmm.
So you can say that part of his past start to I had like a titan with a debt came to collect like 15 years later,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when all the peace that he has been striving to do is broken, so by hurting one of his family, so the whole family rises. But there is this conflict that the father is trying, you have to stay out of this is none of your business, I don't want you to get hurt. But then the rest of the family, you are killing yourself, you think you can get this on your own, but you can't. And this kind of inner conflict between the family about how to get this settled,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then more titans get involved and gets
And
more
chaos.
interesting. Yeah, it's more really chaos. Yeah,
You know, like kind of, I love it, and like, this sounds so cool. It's actually, and I think this is a good comparison. But it's making me think a little bit of, you ever see the Pixar movie The Incredibles?
Incredibles. Yeah, sure. One
Right?
and two.
Right? And the whole like family, they're all supers, right? And like initially
Yeah,
kind of dad is trying to do the super thing on his own, but really like he needs the whole family to work together to actually solve stuff. Like, and it totally worked in that film, right?
yeah.
That kind of dynamic was so great in that film.
It's a really nice comparison. I'm really surprised that I never thought about it, because we love this movie and we just
Right.
recently watched the second part, and it's like we had it on our, we watch it again and
Yeah,
again. It's a
yeah, yeah.
family, watch it as a family, and we love it
There
because
we
we are
go.
four as well, and they are four. So before the
Mm.
baby,
Yeah.
Baby. You know, I mean
There you
the
go.
main characters. So yeah, we kind of love it, and yeah, it's a nice reference. I never thought of it.
There you go. Now you got your perfect comp, Kareem. Perfect.
Yeah.
Here we go. All right, Kareem, we've been talking for like an hour. I think this is a good place to kind of cut it, but where can people find and follow you online, please?
So I'm mostly active on Twitter.
Okay.
I'm trying to. I've been trying my luck on Discord, but I'm failing miserably. But I'm trying. I'm trying.
This happens,
And
guys.
I'm on my newsletter. I have on all my links on my Twitter profile, on my link tree links. I send like every month, and then all my news and updates are there. So yeah.
Cool. And let's see. Yeah, I will link those. I think they're already linked in the description of the video. And yep, yeah, I think that's going to be the best place. The easiest. Although you're on Twitter, people can find you KARIEM28. That's his handle on Twitter. So
Yeah. By the way, this is not the right spelling for my name, but I couldn't find Karim with I. So
there we go. It works. It
yeah.
works. Cool. All right, Kareem, thank you very much for like hanging out with me and talking with me. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Nicholas. It was really fun chatting with you, and happy birthday!
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thanks everyone for watching. Go ahead.
In the 40s yet, or yet to come?
Yeah. I got another year before my wife gives me a hard time about being in the 40s.
Oh.
So like, yeah. So it's 39 tomorrow, and then one more year. Oh yeah, and like, yeah. I was posting on Twitter. Go ahead.
The wisdom that you will get when the 40s, it's a magical moment. Before the 40s, I was a different person.
As soon as you turn 40, you're like,
you can ask Joe as well.
Transcendent. Right? Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, I was posting on Twitter too that like Kareem, you're like my 88th on my own channel, but like if you count other interviews I've done for like Right Hive Con or in that sort of thing, I've definitely done more than 100, which is kind of cool. Like I'm gonna be bragging. I'm gonna put that on a business card, I think.
Wow, that's
right.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Kareem. Anyone else that's watching, either now or in the future, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you for being a part of this journey. And if no one's told you yet today, all of you, Kareem, everyone, you're an absolute legend.